My name's Faye McDearmid. I'm an independent optometrist and practice owner in the northeast of England. And I guess the first thing to say is over the last few weeks I've realised that I'm quite useful outside the consulting room actually. Now, I didn't realise how much work was involved in running a practice beyond being locked in our small rooms. We're supported by our wonderful practice teams when we're open usually, and it's been really eye-opening learning all these different new skills like taking payments over the phone, contacting suppliers, putting things together, being out doing home deliveries, answering the phone. It was a bit of a baptism of fire at first, as I'm not used to doing all of those things, and suddenly, rather than having my whole team around me, I was just left to do everything on my own. Thankfully, due to the government scheme, we're able to furlough our team, which secures their jobs for when this is all over and they can come back. But to keep the practice going, there's me and me alone doing everything, which has been a bit of a challenge. Initially, of course, we're in panic mode, and those first few weeks there was plenty of sleepless nights and lots of panicking by me. I run the practice alongside my mum, and my mum definitely had to deal with my inner chimp. For those of you who haven't read The Chimp Paradox, it's an amazing book, particularly if you sometimes lack in confidence or worry, which I think in this outbreak and the panic, it is that unprecedented, that word that we're sick of hearing, but it's quite normal to feel very panicked, particularly in those first stages. But I'd say over the last couple of weeks, that panic has sort of settled a little bit. I've got used to the new normal, and I've been listening to lots and lots of webinars and sifting my way through many emails on the really helpful forums that have been set up. But to stop it being overwhelming, I've found myself thinking, right, I'm going to check my emails once or maybe twice a day, and I'm going to look at and filter and attend the webinars that I think are going to be the most useful to me, just so I don't get overloaded. So I take us back over the last sort of 10 days or so. What have I been doing? So I listened to the Johnson & Johnson Phil Morgan webinar on contact lenses and coronavirus, which I really enjoyed and found there were some really useful practical skills that inspired me to write a blog. I used to do a blog for our website quite often, but as happens, life got in the way. I got very busy and that subsided. To put a bit of a positive spin on it, one of the positives of this downtime is that I have been able to reflect and think on what I might like to do for our practice in terms of marketing, and those ideas that I've had that I haven't been able to implement, been able to work on a little bit more. So thanks to Phil and thanks to Johnson & Johnson, it inspired an update on my blog talking about contact lens handling and how to safely wear your contact lenses during the outbreak if you so choose to. I was then quite pleased to have Easter weekend completely off. I'd actually forgotten that it was Easter and reminded by our delivery guys, and closed the practice as we always do for Easter for religious reasons. Closed through Easter Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, and just had a bit of a well-earned rest at home and wrote blogs and other stuff because I never totally switch off. And then it was back to it on Tuesday. Things have sort of calmed down a little bit in the practice now. At first I was chasing my tail a bit in that having problems with suppliers and some deliveries. A lot of the delivery companies thinking that all optician practices were closed because of some of the big guys closing. Meant I was constantly ringing and looking for tracking numbers and chasing orders, when are they going to arrive? I didn't want to not be in the practice because these orders hadn't been redirected to home, and so I was waiting for all of them to come. But now that they've all arrived and I've been able to redirect other deliveries to a home address, that's made things a lot easier. And I've got all my contact lens deliveries set up either to be directly delivered to patients at home or coming to me at home, so that I can take things in and sort it out there. And I've been triaging and speaking to people on the phone if they've got worries about their sight, sudden changes in their vision, broken their glasses and needed a repair. Just talking to people, going out picking glasses up that have been broken or damaged, bringing them back to repair and then re-delivering. organising delivery of glasses that were outstanding, and the same with those regular contact lens shipments, as I've said. The other nightmare has been trying to source PPE. I think that pretty much sums up how we're all feeling about that. But a big shout out to our local LOC, which is T's LOC. I had a text from our chair this morning saying that she's got some for me and I'll be able to pick that up tomorrow, so I'm really pleased about that. And the other thing that I've been doing on the phone is actually just talking to people. A couple of our long-standing clients have rung just for a chat because they've been a bit lonely at home, which is really grounding. I think that of course we're worried about our businesses, but there's people out there who really haven't got anybody to talk to. And you know, normally in practice they might say to us, I haven't spoken to anyone for a couple of weeks, and it hits us in that moment. But speaking to people who are ringing up just for a chat during this, and me being able to check them all that they're okay, and if they need anything, and if there's anything I can do, really puts home, you know, what we do. We're part of our communities, and we care about people, and this is our opportunity to really be there and make a difference for people when they really do need it most. So back to what I was doing last week. Easter Monday began with one of the Practice Buddy webinars that Andy Clark has been running on Bounce Back. And there's lots of useful ideas on here, although it was quite difficult to listen to as some of the attendees weren't on mute and there was a lot of background noise, and that was resolved on today's, but that comes into next week's blog. So that kicked the week off to a positive start with some ideas. Wednesday, I had the Sight Care Weekly Question Time webinar. A few weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be asked to be a panellist, which I really enjoyed. And it's always funny, I mean, even doing this, I'm talking to the screen, I'm talking to myself, which is like so odd. But it's, especially when there's 4 people on the panel, it's quite enjoyable because, you know, we're definitely social distancing, nobody's in the same room, but you get that community feel and support network, which is really valuable at this time. And I also started my 7 questions with Specs Lady Faye series. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Specs Lady Faye. I'm always happy for people to follow and engage. It's eye care, it's vision, and it's a little bit of me and what I get up to as well. And said that it can be quite a lonely time when we're in practices on our own, and you do feel sometimes a bit isolated as an independent. Being part of the sight care group is very important to me. I've been a member the whole time that I've been an optometrist, and my practice has been a member for the whole time that sight care has existed. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of connections. I know lots of people and a lot of people know me. But I wanted to be able to connect our members in a way that we haven't maybe done before, and people get to know each other a little bit better and in a fun way. So I produced this little 7 questions by Specs Lady Faye, which is a bit of an interview / biography, fun with a little bit of seriousness in there, to get to know our members a bit better. So that kicked off last week, started it, got our first nominee up to be interviewed, and that has been posted and gone live today, so look out for that this week, and there'll be more updates on that next week. So that brings what I've been doing so far in the last 10 days to a close. I'll be updating you again next week. I'll get some videos along the week as I go, and some pictures and things to make it interesting. If there's anything in particular that you'd like to know how we've managed, or what we've been up to, or if you just want to say hi, feel free to connect with me on my variety of social media channels. But until then, stay home, protect the NHS, save lives, look after yourselves, and keep in touch with each other. Bye for now.